All right, what's good, guys? My name is Ted, and if you don't know me, I run an Etsy 3D printing business, making about $500 to $700 a month in total sales with just a single 3D printer, as you can see here. I'm not like other YouTubers who have a giant wall of 3D printers behind them. I just have one, and I'm making it work for myself. I make right here, as you can see, about $500 a month in sales. That's not life-changing money, but it's money to let you indulge in your hobbies a little bit. I've been looking at that new Forza game. I'm trying to get that coffee money, beer money, whatever. It's chill money. You only work 1 to 2 hours a week with only designing 3 total products. So I'll walk through how I found these 3 different designs in this video and how that led to my $500 to $700 a month in total sales on Etsy. And I did that using 2 different design methods. So the micro innovation method as well as the on-demand solving method. And in the end, I'll talk about how to find your specific niche when it comes to 3D printing. That way, you know specifically what to make so you can get to this level of having just 3 different products and making enough money on the side to allow for some freedom or allow for some fun money that you can spend on whatever you want. So to start, what do I sell? And I am anti slop. I do not want you to sell 3D printer slop, the articulated dragons, the fidget toys of the world. You don't want to sell that. One, because, it's so competitive to actually have a successful product. And two, like it's oversaturated. People have already figured this out. There's people, in China who are going to be making these things for way cheaper. So there's no reason to make this same old fidget dragon toy that doesn't take any creativity to do. Now, what I want you to do is to solve people's problems with the products you can create. So for me, I created the Serger bin, which we'll talk a little bit later in the video. But if you do that, you're gonna be looking like this guy right here, bro. You're gonna be so happy because you don't have competition when you're making your products. You feel fulfilled because you're making products that actually solve real world problems and help other people. And you're not making slop that's just copying somebody else. So why should you design your own products? Why should you make your own products? I like to think about this in the sense of fishing. Would you rather go fishing in, the local lake that's always busy, 1,000 people live on it, they all have boats, they're always on it to go fishing? Or would you rather go the fit to the pond that's in your backyard where you can fish, you know your best fishing spot, you know what to get, where to go, and you get a fish every time? You're obviously going to want to go here, right by the pond by your house because you're familiar with it. You've lived here your whole life. You know where the fishing spots are, you know where you can catch fish. This is how I think about selling your own products and making your own designs. You don't want to go in this crowded market where these AI freaking slop dragons are. Don't want to do that, bro. You want to go to the fishing pond right by your house because you know the problems that you're running into. You know how to make products that solve problems that you specifically run into, not something else that somebody runs into in the market and it's going to be super competitive. It's much easier to get off the ground here at the fishing pond than it is at the busy lake with all the other people looking for fish. So I say this at the start because the hardest part is coming up with the idea. It's not getting the right 3D printer. It's not finding the right printing software or modeling software, and it's not finding the right platform to sell on. It's the idea. All of these things you can learn on YouTube for free, and they don't take a lot of effort. But that idea is something that takes time, and it takes a lot of effort to find the perfect idea. If you're the best chef in the world, you have the greatest kitchen of all time with all the utensils, but your ingredients are rotten, nobody's going to eat your food. And that's the same thing when it comes to making products with your 3D printer and selling on, Etsy or Shopify or learning these different CAD softwares. You can learn them, but if your idea is trash, like none of this matters here. You have to have the idea correct. So let's walk through my best selling product and how I specifically designed it so you can get an idea on how to design your own products. So right here is the pattern weight. This is my best selling product. I've had over $3,800 in total revenue. Actually, here $4,800 in total revenue because I have 2 separate listings as well as selling them on Shopify and other platforms. But I've had a total of 163 plus sales with this specific product, and it's not crazy, man. It's literally just a circle with a triangle. It's nothing super specific or crazy in CAD. I could have made this in any single CAD software here in like 15 minutes. It's not a crazy design or crazy difficult design that takes forever to learn CAD in. It's very simple and it solves people's actual problems. Now, what are the problems that this solves? So the problem it solves is, so for some background, I'm in the sewing niche. I love sewing. I have a background in apparel design. I make my own, a lot of my clothes, for example. And one of the things that happens when you're sewing is you have to cut out these pattern pieces here. And these basically are like the blueprints of clothing. It's how you build it. And the one issue I always had with this was cutting out the pattern piece from the fabric. And what it does is, you can see here, that piece flips up here, and it's really annoying to trace that out and cut it. So I designed these pattern weights here that fix that. They go all the way to the corner and they hold it down. And I just put some washers on the inside to weigh it down inside here. And then I super glue it together. Super simple. And you can see here in the video, if it plays, hold on. Yeah, you can see here, this is the problem that it's solving. It's simple. It just goes right to the corner there. So the framework I do for this is something I call micro innovation. It's taking an existing product and solving exactly what it misses. So what could this product do better? So this is what a normal pattern weight looks like here. It's doesn't go to the corner like this one. They're huge, they're bulky, and like low key, you can kind of see here, like it's bubbling up the fabric. It's not a smooth cut. Like it needs to lay flat to be able to cut out nice. It's almost too heavy in some ways. Some of the other solutions that people do, they'll do like DIY solutions. They can cut and sew their own things and fill it with, I don't know, sand, for example. But you can even see here, like on this example, the pattern here is lifting up in the corner. This is the problem I solved with this specific product. And sometimes people, they'll just use like coffee mugs or books, for example, to hold their pattern pieces down. But that still creates the problem here of this lifting up in the corner. So what micro innovation does, you find the problem. So the pattern weights do not hold the pattern corners flat on all of these different versions here. Take the existing product, it doesn't do the job completely. Make it better, redesign it in some way where you find this problem. And like I said, it doesn't have to be complicated. This was a 15-minute CAD job I did in a few. It's a circle with a triangle. Like it's not that complicated. You can do it. You can learn CAD. It's not hard. But the hard part was finding this problem and coming up with this idea and this solution that's better. And I like to think about AirPods in this way. It's a perfect analogy for what micro innovation does. It's taking something that already exists. So the wired earbuds before, they had their whole world of problem. If you've ever gone to the gym with these, you know how annoying it is to like tuck them underneath your shirt, or if you're like lifting weights, you're afraid you're going to catch the cable with the weight. It was just super annoying. Like it's a great product. Like they were used forever. Wired headphones were used for decades. But then right here, the AirPods came along and that changed everything. It was much easier to just pop them in and listen to music easily. They have the controls so you can just skip the song. You don't have to open your phone and skip it. They overall made just the product much better. And that is very similar to what I did here with the pattern weight. This is an existing product, the OG pattern weight. I mean, this has been around forever, but I just made it better by solving the solution. The other thing I took advantage of was with 3D printing, oftentimes you can make a product that is much cheaper. So these pattern weights themselves, they're actually $75 for each, the set of 3 here, but my set of 4, so I already have more, is only $19. So you're getting basically the same thing for a third of the price, and it's better. So it's a no-brainer that people are going to buy it. So like I said, I took an existing product, made it better, and I took advantage of those 3D print abilities. So let's go into the next type of framework I use to design my products. So for this, I'm going to use the Serger bin as a case study. And what this product does is, when you're serging, it's a type that finishes off seams when you're sewing. All that fabric gets cut off and it flies down in the bin here. So all those little fabric scraps, they go in this bin. However, this bin here, it doesn't always come with a serger. And oftentimes you're going to have to buy one that is like a specific model number here. So like this is only made for Juki MO654 machines and more. It's not universal fit. Same with this one. This is only a Baby Lock Triumph serger. It's not all of the sergers combined. So what I did is I took this product, this little bin that sometimes comes with a machine, sometimes doesn't, or if it's specifically made for a machine, and I made it a universal fit. So how did I make it a universal fit? I added sizes to it. As you can see here, it gradates 2 different angles to fit different machines perfectly. And they print this sheet off and then they can find the perfect size that fits their machine like this and fits on the perfect angle. So I took advantage of, with this product, mainly the features of the 3D printer. What are those features? You can make products for made to order, you can allow for customization, and you can allow for low cost production. So similar to the pattern weights, this is only a $17.99 product, but the actual custom fit ones, I mean, this one's $51. This one, it's a little bit more expensive, not too bad. $25 for this. So I'm making it cheaper, allowing for customization, so a universal fit, and it's made to order, so I don't have to spend a bunch of money on stocking it, or it doesn't become a nightmare, a logistical nightmare, because I have, I believe, 7 different sizes. So I really took advantage of these different 3D printer manufacturing capabilities with this product, whilst also solving a problem that people run into. It's very customizable with the sizes. It's a cheaper production sometimes. Sometimes you're not going to be making a product that's always cheaper, but for the most part, you can find those specific products that might already exist and make them better and make them cheaper with the 3D printing capabilities. You can also make them on demand, so you don't need to store inventory, so that saves on cost. It's a very cheap to start up business. It's not that expensive. I mean, like, literally a Bamboo Lab, you can buy an A1 for like 300 bucks right now. You could probably buy the mini for cheaper. So it's not that expensive. You don't need a lot of space. Like, back to where my space is here. Like, I literally have a desk in my basement. I put all my filament here. I have like a little dirty. I'm not gonna lie. It's a little dirty, but I have everything I need here to ship my orders, and I'm able to bring in that $500 a month, like I said, to, spend money on my hobbies, get coffee every now and again, get that new Forza, bro. Like, I'm trying to get that. So this allows for that. You don't need a huge space to actually make money with your 3D printer. If it's just sitting there, I mean, it's a huge opportunity to get some extra income. But back to the capabilities. It's very cheap, like I said, but you can also test ideas fast and often. This is another key thing. You can prototype quickly, you can model quickly, you can test different things out very quickly and solve these different problems quickly. If it doesn't work and the problem you solve, like the product you make to solve that problem, doesn't quite work, it's not the end of the world. I mean, it took what, 2 or 3 hours to print? Not that big of a deal. You just keep moving and move on. You didn't drop 20K on a injection molding mold to make this product and it flops. All it was a startup cost and maybe a little bit of filament cost. So you can really test those ideas out quickly, fast, and solve those problems with the products that you're making. So now I'm sure you're thinking, like, how do I find my niche? Clearly, you found your niche with sewing and making products around the sewing ecosystem. So how do I actually find my niche here? So the way I found my niche is understanding that you are the niche. And this is a concept I took from Dan Coe here, great YouTuber, and he points out the fact that you are the niche. Whatever you do day to day, the activities, the hobbies you have, there's a whole world of problems to solve within them. And what 3D printing allows you to do is test out those problems and ideas and solutions quickly and be competitive and use your own creativity to make those products. So, this is how I view creating a 3D printing business in this specific framework. Your customers here, they want to change, they want their problems to be solved. You find out those problems and then you take time to acquire skills. So, like, that's what I said at the beginning, the CAD, the 3D printer, all of those different skills you can learn. But at the end of the day, you need to know your customer. But your customer, at the end of the day, you, you are the niche. You know those problems you're running into. So once you acquire these skills of modeling and whatnot and making the product, you can apply those skills to your life, the problems you run into, and then that creates this ideal future, your path, you making that $500 to $700 a month with your 3D printer. And the way you do this is just writing down a list of your hobbies and activities and look for those minor pain points. They literally don't have to be world changing. Like, back to the pattern weight. It's just holding down a corner. Like, it's nothing crazy. It's a very simple design. It's a minor pain point, but people are willing to pay up for it. As you can see here, $4,800 in total revenue with just my single 3D printer. So understanding those minor pain points and being cognizant of those things that you're running into day to day creates those products that are successful. They can be day-to-day activities too. They don't need to be like a super specific hobby. It can be like making tea in the morning, for example, but it can also be a hobby or an interest. I like to keep a note in my phone of those frustrations that I run into. That way I have kind of a backlog for ideas that I have. And then product ideas will flow from the problems. Don't write down product ideas, write down the problems, and spend your time ideating different solutions. And the first idea might not be the best, but you're getting there and you can test it out quickly with 3D printing, like I've said. So solving these problems also becomes genuinely enjoyable because you're solving problems you run into your day to day life. You're solving the problems that you run into, but you're also helping other people solve their own problems. It's very rewarding to make these products that solve people's problems and make their life better, but also make yours better. It really validates that you're a very smart and creative person who can really think outside of the box and solve those problems and understand people in a deeper level. So, for a thought experiment, I took the 10 most popular hobbies in the United States and I came up with some ideas around how you could create products for this niche. So, for cooking and baking, you can maybe make a storage for a specific utensil. Maybe it's a certain type of, I don't know, spoon or something, and you can create a way to store that some specific way. Maybe it's reading and you can create a bookmark for a niche character that people love, but you notice, there's not a lot of models or figures or bookmarks or memorabilia around this character. That could be something you make. Spending time with pets. I think about like kitty litter, like it's always a mess. How do you make it so that there isn't all this kitty litter everywhere after they use their box? I mean, that's just a problem that I've run into. Video games, I think a lot about, like, the peripherals, like the headset, the mice. I actually had an idea for so I have a G502, the best mouse of all time, gonna be honest. I thought about making, like, a carrying case for that, for my wireless mouse, because I like to bring it to work because I love this mouse so much that when I use other ones, it's just not as good. So, I mean, that's like a very specific, dumb idea, but thinking about those peripherals, those physical interactions really helps out. Outdoor activities, I mean, I didn't write anything because it's just like a whole world of problems. I mean, hiking, swimming, grilling, like there are so many specific problems with storage or how you might lay something down or to remember to do something in that niche. Like there's a whole world of ideas, and I promise you won't have an issue coming up with those ideas once you start writing down those different problems. Traveling, I think remembering to bring something is something that's important. Maybe you forget your toothbrush every time and you create something that allows you to remember that every single time. Socializing, I don't think that's really applicable because it's not like a physical product that you're making. DIY arts and crafts, I mean, that's basically what I just talked about with sewing, creating products around those specific problems that are very small that people run into and making them better and cheaper with 3D. Or in card games, I'm thinking like organization or some sort of display to show your memorabilia, like Magic the Gathering, for example, like making a case that's really cool and really intricate that showcases off a card, for example. Gardening and plants, maybe like a plant potter that's very specific to a type of plant. That's another idea. But again, I'm just kind of spitballing here. I mean, you think about those very specific products that you use in your day to day life and how you can make them better with the advantages that I talk about here with the 3D printer. Combining those two things leads to successful products and that $500 to $700 sales. So, in conclusion, I talked about my two frameworks here, micro innovation and on demand problem solving. And the way I did micro innovation is taking an existing product and making it better in a very slight way, whether that be price or function. On demand solving, that's the sizing, creating a Serger bin that's a universal fit, thinking about universal fit. How can I size something so that everyone can buy it? That's another idea. And all of these, again, really taking advantage of those 3D printer capabilities. What does it have that I can use for a product so that it's cheaper, quicker to prototype and test out, and you don't have to have an inventory full of? And then I talked about how to find your niche in the end and understanding that you are the niche, the things that you run into day to day, the problems, your hobbies, your activities, driving in your car. Like it can really be that simple. Finding those small solutions creates great products that sell. So I hope you guys enjoy this video and I hope you took something away from it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments down below and have a great rest of your day.